So this month's theme is imagine. And we've imagined peace, and we've imagined love, and we've imagined life, and we've imagined oneness, and today we're imagining our best life ever. Imagine our best life ever. What would that look like? What would that feel like? What does that mean? Do we even know what that means if we were just to say, I'm going to live my best life ever? Okay, what does that mean? What does it mean? So one of the things I think, and we do this in foundations class, and we do this in, I think, financial freedom, I'm not sure. We ask questions to focus. I remember in the one of the curriculum, we ask questions to focus our life. If we want to live our best life ever, what does that mean to us as individuals? What is the thing that would create our best life ever? And one of the things that I read this month while I was researching the topic was there's a website called Tiny Buddha. And it's really cute. And this particular article was written by James McQuinney. And what he said was there are 6 questions he asks himself to focus his life. And I thought, well, this is a wonderful place to start. If we're going to create our best life ever, we should know what that is. We should know what that would be for us. So what he said was, first question, what do I absolutely love in life? And now answer these questions with no regard to, money or financial status or age or anything like that. These are questions without conditions, without boundaries, without limits. What do I absolutely love in life? And write down everything that you absolutely love about life. Write down the things you love doing, the things you love seeing, the things you love knowing, the things you love going to. What are the things that you absolutely love about life? This is not about your job, it's not about your career, although it could be. It could be if you absolutely love your career. But it's not specifically about that. It's about everything that you love about life. Rainbows, puppy dog tails, who knows? Put the things that you love about life on that list. The stuff that, when you talk about it with other people, you get passionate about it. You know those things, right? You start discussing them, and all of a sudden time goes by, and there is no time, and you're all lit up, and people can see you shine when you talk about those things. That's what you want on your list. So number 2, what are my greatest accomplishments so far in life? What are my greatest accomplishments? What am I most proud of in all of my life? So write down those things, the things I am most proud of in life, your accomplishments, maybe your career, maybe personal commitments that you made and kept and succeeded, maybe goals you achieved, things you overcame, activities that you engaged in, whatever, things that you have, are most proud of in your life. Number 3, what would I stand for if no one would judge me? That's a biggie. What would I stand up here and yell from the mountaintops if I knew no one would judge me for it? Because a lot of times we're afraid to say out loud how we really feel or who we really are. So write a list down that. What would I stand for? What would I tell everybody while I'm being interviewed by Oprah? What would I say out loud if I knew no one would judge me for saying it? What would I say out loud about me or the truth about who I am if I knew I risked nothing by saying it? Write that down. Number 4, if my life had absolutely no limits, and I could have it all, and I could do whatever I wanted, what would I choose to have, and what would I choose to do? These are practical things. These are physical things. What would I choose to have, and what would I choose to do? If there were no limits at all. This is your ideal scene. These are the boards that we create when we do classes and foundations and things. This is your ideal scene. What would I choose to do? What would I choose to have? What occupation would I have? Would I buy or I rent? Mountains or seashore? Whatever. What would I choose to do and what would I choose to have? if money were no object, who would you be in the world? What would you be in the world? Where would you be in the world? Number 5, what would I do if I had $1 billion in the bank? That's B. It's a B. What would be billion? What would I do if I had $1 billion in the bank? What would I do? This is practicing thinking without limits. This is about thinking, what can I do, and not, oh, I can't do that. This is thinking without any limits at all. Billion, B, billion. What would I do with $1 billion in a bank? What would I do? Well, I would think without limitations, first of all, right? Would I travel? You know, some of us would travel. I'm kind of a homebody, but I mean, I'm sure there's some of us that will travel. Would I become a philanthropist? Probably. Would I become an activist? Oh, yeah, sure. Would I play video games all day? I mean, some of us would. What would you do? If I had $1 billion in the bank, what would I do? What would I do all day? What would I spend my time doing? Reminds me of that movie, The Endless Summer. Does anybody remember that? I'm old. Where the kids and the surfboards just traveled all around the globe, in search of the perfect wave. Yeah, $1 billion. I think a lot of us would do that. Maybe not the surfboard, but maybe I would travel all around, going to all of the tennis tournaments around the world. just the Grand Slam ones, Whatever. $1 billion in the bank. Thinking without limits. And question number 6. Who do I admire most in the world? Who do I admire most in the world? These are the people that you love the work that they're doing, or you admire what they stand for, or you like the truth, that the way that they speak it. These are things, people that we see things in them that we admire, or we want to be like, or we would love everybody to be like them. Who do I admire most in the world? And what you need to know is that those people are exhibiting qualities that we have. Those people that we admire have the same qualities of God in them that we have. So the things that you admire about those people are things that you have, are qualities in yourself. The inner wisdom that the person you admire is the same inner wisdom that you have. So think about that. Who do I admire most in the world? So those 6 questions focus us. They focus our attention. They can give a direction to what the next step is. So how do we start? We have these great questions. We've answered them. We have a whole list of things that bring focus to our lives. So how do we start then making practical use of them so that they're not just theoretical? I found that for me, moving into my best life ever is more about it's not about doing, it's not about the to-do list as much as it is a surrendering. It's more of a surrendering to a greater yet to be than it is actually, a linear, okay, I have to do this, then I have to do that, and then I have to do this. It's a journey of letting go rather than getting. So in our journey of letting go, let's start with this one. Let's let go of comparing. You with me? Okay. Your path, my path, is unlike anyone else's. Someone's best life ever might be getting a hot meal tonight. Someone's best life ever might be going to sleep tonight indoors. My life is not your life. My path is not your path. Everyone is on their own perfect path. And when we let go of comparing, we let go of things that make us sad. Because do you notice how when you compare, you're always comparing yourself with people who are doing way better than you think you're doing? It's always, we're on the losing end of the comparison scale all the time. Well, look at him. He's got his 401k, and he's got his house in the, in the Keys, and he's going to retire by the time he's 50, and damn it, I'm still working. And You're never on top of that comparison. We are never, ever on top of that comparison. We always compare ourselves to the people who are doing better so we can beat ourselves up. And isn't that just a joyful little pursuit? Yeah, thanks a lot. It's like telling a joke. The first time you tell a joke and the whole room laughs, right? Yay, it's funny. Okay, tell the same exact joke again and half the people will laugh. Tell the joke a third time or a fourth time or a fifth time and it's like nobody laughs after that, because they've heard it before. So why, when we tell our own sad story, do we continue to get sad every time? It's over. It's done. Don't compare. There's nothing there to compare. Life is about improving ourselves and being the best we can be in relation to who we used to be, but not in relation to anybody else. So that's it. We're going to let go of comparing. It's not a competition, right? Which leads us to number 2. Let go of competing. Let go of competing. This is not a race. I know you've heard, it's a rat race, but then that means we're all rats. I'm not going there. It's not a race. We don't win at the expense of somebody else. We acknowledge there is only one life. And if there's only one life, we're it. So your win is my win. Your joy is my joy. Your loss is my loss. That's why joys shared are multiplied and sorrows shared are lessened. Because we are all one, and there is only one life and one energy and one God, and we are just individualizations of it. So when you win, I win. So when you hit the 6 numbers, I can rejoice for you because there is still only one life. And this eliminates envy. That horrible, nasty little feeling when someone's being interviewed with that $6 million check and you go, I could use that money. I'd be better at it than they are. It just eliminates it. When we are in the attitude of, yes, hooray, that's for me, it takes away that negative feeling. It takes away the limited feeling of there's only so much good to go around and they've got mine. So get rid of competing. We can get better at celebrating each other if we're not competing. When we're competing, we go right to envy and judgment, which is, of course, the third letting go thing. Let go of judgment. That's a biggie. We don't know each other's paths. So we can't judge each other. We don't know what each other's paths are. And besides, it's not our job anyway. Now, discernment is different. I love this conversation. We have this a lot, don't we? I'm not judging. I'm discerning. Yeah. Here you go. You know what? I noticed she's really, really chatty. Discernment or judgment? Well, it's a discernment. A discernment. I'm making an observation. She's really, really chatty. Discernment. It's probably true. It's probably facts. Anyway, if it's not truth, it's probably facts. God, her chatting is so annoying. If she doesn't shut up, I think I'm going to shoot her. Judgment or discernment? Okay, you kind of get it, right? The thing with it is, you know that you're in judgment when you're into your own dissatisfaction and you're needing and wanting someone else to be some other way so I can be happy. When you need somebody else to change so that you can be all right by being around them, you know you're judging them. So why not just judge away? Why not? Why not just judge away? I'll tell you why, because it makes us unhappy. Judging other people, think about this, judging other people makes us unhappy. It upsets our peace of mind. And it gives all of the power to the person that is outside of you. If your happiness depends on how someone else behaves, you've given up your power. You've given your power to them. So then they get to control whether or not you're happy. So that's why we were told not to judge, right? Judge not. I'm not in charge of that. I'm not in charge of that person. I'm not in charge of their behavior. And if I feel like I am, then I'm judging them and then I'm unhappy. And I don't like it when I'm unhappy. I like to be peaceful. I like to be peaceful. And I don't like to be unhappy. It angers me. Think about that. Wait a minute, what? Which is the next thing we have to let go of. We have to let go of anger. And one of the great ways to let go of anger is leaning into it. Lean into it. Don't run away from it. Lean into it. Feel your feelings. And when we do that, we find that it dissolves readily. It dissolves readily. But a lot of times we need to acknowledge where we are. You know, you're so angry, something you feel so violated or so upset or so taken advantage of or so whatever, fill in the blank. You know, lean into it. Feel that. Give yourself some rant time. Does anybody give rant time to themselves? I'm just going to act like an idiot here for a second. Let me just go off and do this thing, go out in the backyard and yell and carry on like a moron, you know. I'm sorry, but sometimes I just do. And I rant, and sometimes it's at the television. That's a great place to have rant time. You know. Okay, but you know, a lot of times it gets it out. So you have your little rant time. You feel the anger, you lean into it, and then you go into forgiveness. Then you transform it. You let go and you get into your forgiveness. You do your forgiveness work. You do it for them, you do it for yourself, because really all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. All forgiveness is self-forgiveness work, because your being angry at the other person doesn't upset their day, not one bit. They go home, they go to sleep, they're not thinking of you at all, and all you're doing is running that story in your head about how rotten they are. And it keeps you up. It doesn't keep them up. Not at all. Anger eats away at our own peace of mind. Anger eats away at our own serenity. It does nothing to the person with whom we're angry. And if we don't do our forgiveness work, and we let that anger eat away with us, what happens is we wind up living with regret, which is number 5. Let go of regret. Let go of regrets. You know the deal, right? You know the drill? Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Boy, they're killers, aren't they? They are energy suckers. They are wastes of time in our lives. We spend a lot of mental energy in woulda, coulda, shoulda. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. So how do we turn that around? You know, how do we turn that around? We're constantly looking back. Oh, if I had only, and I should have never, and if only and you know how it goes. So instead, how about finding a gem in there? Finding one thing about that situation that was a positive. Finding the little gift in what we thought was a disaster. And if it's nothing else but having patience for ourselves, if it's nothing else but I have the strength to walk through that, and I'm still here, and I'm still standing, and I'm still alive. Sometimes it's about having patience with ourselves. Well, if I knew then what I know now, yes, but you didn't. And you did the best you could where you were at the time. You did the best you could with what you had at the time. So have patience with yourself. Have compassion for the you that you were when you went through that. You're a different you now. It's 10 minutes later. You're not the same person. You're not. You're a different person. If it was 5 years ago, you're really a different person. If it was 7 years ago, you're biologically a different person. You don't even have the same cells in your body. You're not the same person you are. So have compassion for the person who went through that. And remember, everything that we went through got us to where we are today. And if we're in an okay place today, all of the experiences that you had your whole life led you here. So there is a gift in that also. There is a gift in that. One of the ways we can give up regret is to give up holding our attachment to our emotions. That's usually where we get stuck. We wind up being the jailers to past behavior because we get all wrapped up in what happened, and we still can feel that emotion. We can just bring it all up like it happened yesterday. So one of the ways that we can give up regret is to detach from the emotion that brings us back to that place in the past. Let go of that emotional hook. Just like we have to let go of worrying, which is number 6. This is all about letting go. Let go of worry. Let go of worry. There's a saying that goes, worrying does not empty tomorrow of its troubles. It just drains today of its strength. And there's a lot of truth in that. Because if you're worrying, you're in the future. Oh, what's going to happen? Oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And so all of the energy that your body has is projected out in a future that doesn't exist yet. And so if you're out in the future, who's running your present? Who's running your life right here, right now, in the present? If you're all out there worrying about the future, maybe somebody who doesn't have your best interest at heart. So you want your body to be present. You want your energy to be present. Worrying means we do not trust that the universe is a good, kind, loving place. Worrying means we do not believe that God has our back, that we are alone in a cold, heartless, cruel world. And we're all alone. Worrying means we do not trust a benevolent universe. Ernest Holmes says this. He said, if we make every day a day of praise and thanksgiving, a day in which we recognize the divine bounty and the eternal goodness, and if we live today as though God were the only presence and the only power that there is, we would not have to worry about tomorrow. You want me to say that again? If we make every day a day of praise and thanksgiving, a day in which we recognize the divine bounty and the eternal goodness, and if we live today as though God were the only presence and the only power there is, we would not have to worry about tomorrow. This is about faith. This is about placing your faith in the unseen so that it can be seen. We place our faith in the unseen, and it outpictures as that. When we blame others, we are victims in our lives. There's just no way around that. When it's the government's fault, or it's my parents' fault, or it's my boss's fault, if somebody else has power over me, then I am powerless to change it. This is not the truth of us, and it is disempowering. When we are in worry, we are standing claiming there's a power greater than God that has it out for me. That's what worry is. Oh my God, I'm afraid this is going to happen. You know, most of the stuff we worry about doesn't ever even happen. It's really just a mental mind game. And I'm doing really good at this. It is a mental mind game we play with ourselves. It's a waste of our energy. It is an energy sucker to worry. It is not a good use of our energy. So just put the worrying down. Speak your truth with all your power and presence. Align with God. Know it is done. The next one is let go of guilt. Let go of guilt. Guilt is a useless emotion after the first 5 seconds. That's what you got. I give you 5 seconds of guilt. That's all you got. After that, it's a useless emotion, and all it does is it pulls you down into a negative spiral of not good enough. The only place in our lives where guilt is a gift is that moment when you do the most stupid thing you've ever thought of doing, and you do it anyway, and you go, oh, I could have done that better. You know that moment when, the words come out of your mouth and you really shouldn't have said them, or the thing, or you do that thing where you go, oh, it's like, gee, I really shouldn't have done that. That was really kind of dumb. That moment right there, that little Jiminy Cricket moment, that one where he goes, not a smart choice. That's guilt speaking to us. That 5-second little thing of, oh, God, that was hurtful. I could have done that better. I could have done better. That's guilt's job in our lives. That's it. 5 seconds, boom, you're done. And so what it does is it encourages us to become more conscious with our words and our actions. It encourages us to do something different the next time we're in the similar situation. That's guilt's only purpose. Any more than that, and it just beats us down into a negative spiral of not good enough. Because what happens is, if we allow guilt to move in, it constantly tells you you're wrong. It constantly tells you, remember that time, you made that mistake? Yeah, well, you're going to do it again. It constantly gives you that path to hell because you're not good enough. Well, why should you do it any better? Because you're not good enough. And then you don't do it any better, and then guilt says, see, told you so. And you constantly do it again and again and again, and it traps us into that downward spiral of not good enough. So 5 seconds gets your attention, encourages you and invites you to do it differently the next time you're in a similar situation. That's it. And then you bid it a fond farewell and don't let it move into your head. And the next one, let go of fear. That's a biggie. That is a biggie. But Ralph Waldo Emerson said this. He said, do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. We're being called to step beyond our own self-imposed limitations. You know that I've seen a poster where it says, everything that you desire in life is on the other side of your fear. It's true. Everything we desire, every great thing that we've ever done up till now, all of the great accomplishments, those 6 questions, right? All of those great accomplishments that we achieved were because we stepped beyond, right? We stepped beyond our comfort zone. We stepped beyond our fear. We felt the fear, and we did it anyway. Everything that you desire, this life, this best life ever, it is on the other side of that fear. And what is holding us back but that fear of, oh, what are people going to think of me? Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not, whatever. We've got a whole big long list of can'ts. This is to refocus to the cans. This refocuses us to the cans. Getting rid of the fear, stepping beyond the fear, feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Most of the stuff we're afraid of, just like worry, most of the stuff we're afraid of doesn't happen either. But it happens in our minds. Happens in our minds. So how do we step beyond the fear? We feel it, we feel it, we lean into it, very much like the anger. We press through it, and if we meditate and we pray and we walk in nature and we shut off the news, for God's sakes, shut off the news for a while. We can be informed, but we don't have to be inundated. Listen to good music. Listen to music that inspires us. Associate with positive people that uplift us. We can walk beyond our fears. Associate with people who have overcome maybe the same fear. Get an ally, get a group, get a support group. Move beyond the fear. Move beyond the fear. The high-low game? Do you ever play the high-low game? I just love this. We did this in practitioner training where someone would say, oh, I have this problem, I have this concern, and, I can't pay my rent this month or whatever. And the facilitator would say, well, what's the worst that could happen? Well, if I can't pay my rent, I'm going to, get evicted. Okay, so you're evicted. What's the worst that can happen? Well, if I get evicted, I'm going to, live under a bridge. Well, if you live under the bridge, what's the worst that can happen? Well, I'm going to get freeze at night. I'm going to, die. I'm going to die. Okay, that's where the worst case scenario goes every single time. No matter what your problem is, no matter what your challenge is, when you play the high-low game, what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst? What's the worst? What's the worst? You keep asking yourself that same question. Inevitably, it ends up we're living in a cardboard box under a bridge and we die. It's the only place that story can go. Okay, so then you get back to the original problem. I can't pay my rent this month. Okay, so what's the best thing that can happen? Well, I get the money. Right, and then what happens? Well, then I pay the rent. Yeah, and then what happens? Well, I'm living happily ever after. Yes, and then what happens? Everything runs smoothly. I don't know, it's behind me. Yeah, and then what happens? Right? It is self-expressive. It's powerful. It's empowering. Now, which one of these stories is most likely to come true? Which one of these stories is the one that we most likely do? We most likely resolve our problems. We most likely resolve our challenges. Most likely, I remember one of the practitioners at Pacific Church used to say, it all works out in the end. And if it's not working out, it's not the end. You just keep doing it. You just keep doing it. And now with all of that letting go, the last one is have a proper belly laugh at least once a day. At least once a day, especially if it's about our inability to let go any of those things we just got through talking about. Let go. So that's it. We want to live our best life ever. There you go. That's it. You have everything that you need. to start living your best life ever right here, right now. That's all we need to do, is start down that road of letting go. And that is the first step to living your best life ever. Answer those 6 questions. It brings focus to your life. Most important thing is to start there. And then comes the process of letting go. Let go of comparing, let go of competing, let go of judgment, let go of anger, let go of regrets, let go of worrying, let go of guilt, let go of fear, and have at least one good laugh a day. One good laugh a day. So that's where I'm going to end. Did you hear the one about Jesus? Jesus is walking around, in heaven, doing what he does, probably cleaning up, making sure everything looks nice. And he runs into this old man, and he looks, and he goes, I think I know you. Don't I know you from somewhere? And the old guy goes, no, you don't know me. I came from a really, really tiny little small town when I was alive on earth. And Jesus said, well, I came from a really, really small town too. And the guy goes, no, you don't know me. I was not a big, important person in that little town. I was just a little carpenter. And Jesus goes, oh my God, I was a carpenter, and I learned from my father. My father was a carpenter. And he's looking closer into the old man's eyes. And the old guy goes, no, you got me confused with someone else. I didn't have any children. Well, I did have a son, but he wasn't my real son. He wasn't my natural son. And Jesus is like, oh my God, my father was not my real father either. This is amazing. And he looks closely into the old man's eyes, and he goes, oh, it's you. Oh my God, it is you. And the old man pulls his glasses down, looks at him, and goes, oh my God, my son, it's you, Pinocchio.